Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey.
It's Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton. And we have Mark Hallock.
Hey.
And we have Kyle Bierman running the controls. I'm Dan Hurst. We are at our podcast headquarters. And the reason we call it our podcast headquarters is because we have snacks.
We do.
And anywhere there's snacks, therein is the headquarters.
We don't talk about it every podcast, but we are in Greater Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Dan and I both live here in Kansas City. Kyle lives in Lubbock, and Mark lives in Denver. And Mark and Kyle have come in, and we're spending like 3 intense days today in Dan's house in his basement, pouring over these podcasts. So as you think about this podcast, we're in Dan's basement, sitting around a round table, and enjoying a whole chest full of Coke Zero and all kinds of candy and snacks and all kinds.
You
of
know
things.
what, Cliff? And you posted something on Facebook, and I want to just reiterate it. This is such a privilege and joy for us to do this. We take this seriously. We know it's a privilege to do, and we just want to share my own heart. I'm so thankful for those who listen faithfully, and we do pray that the Lord uses us to encourage you and help you in your ministry.
I think the word I used, and I meant it, is there's a weightiness to what we do.
There is.
We do. We're lighthearted. We do joke because we want you to enjoy. Mm-hmm. We want you to feel like you're up the table with us.
That's right.
It's Dan and me and Mark, and you're sitting here right here with us. And Kyle's over in the corner, and we're all here together, and you're just part of it. And so we're going to talk about some serious things, but we're going to have a good time and laugh at the same time. But don't ever take our levity that we don't take this seriously.
Yes, exactly.
We take it very seriously.
Yeah.
And all the time we're talking, we're picturing you and you listening, and the struggles that you go through and the challenges that you have. Challenges of being a pastor of 40 people, 60 people, a church that's maybe in decline, families that is stressed financially, children that are having problems, and you got a secular job, and that boss is hard to work for. We understand it's tough.
That's
and
right.
so we just want this to be something that the Lord uses to encourage and equip you. And we take this very seriously, even though we're not always serious all the time.
That's right. Good word.
And today, the next two, we're going to divide these into two. Dan, this is really serious.
It is serious because the thing about it is, we talk a lot about the things that have happened to us. Kind of the way that we pick topics is things that we have sometimes had to deal with. And what we're looking at today and in the next podcast is some of those signs. What are some of the warning signs that maybe you need to take a long look at, or just step back and say, is this a misstep in my ministry?
I rent cars everywhere I go because I travel a lot. And I got rented a car the other day, and every time you would just sort of weave a little bit, and like the seat would vibrate. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you get out, like if you kind of hit the middle line
and
or something.
And Jill was with me, and it's like, what was that? I don't know. And it did it again. And I go, this seat's vibrating. And then this little coffee cup logo shows up on the screen. And I go, what is going on? And she said, it means you're not paying attention. He said, the coffee cup means you need to maybe take a break.
That's right.
And when it buzzes your seat, it means, hey, idiot, get back on the road. It's a warning sign. And I go, no, I'm fine. She said, if you were fine, your seat wouldn't be buzzing.
Well,
You're not fine.
I bought a new truck, and then this truck.
I saw it in the parking lot in the driveway. That's nice.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. So in this truck, it's one of those. It's a Ford, and it's hands free.
Yeah.
You can get out on the freeway.
Oh, wow.
And it's hands free.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it has a sensor so that if you take your eyes off the road, it buzzes you. Okay. And it flashes, and there's a warning sign and so forth and so on. Well, Marcia and I took a trip. And that thing, right away, it started, I'm hands-free. I'm looking around, just kind of, looking at this countryside and everything, beep, 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 and everything. Marcia says, what that? After about 2 or 3 times, then Marcia chimed in. You're not paying attention.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Well, that's what this is.
These are warning signs. And literally, you need a warning sign because you don't know you're doing something wrong. That's the whole point of a warning sign.
Yeah.
So these are some significant warning signs for pastors. And I know our first initial reaction is going to be, well, I know a pastor like that. Well, you probably do. Yeah. But I want you to, and I want to do this too, I want to look in the mirror.
Amen. Look at our own hearts.
Do I have this?
That's right.
So number one of the big warning signs is isolation. Shepherds should be known by their sheep. Okay, this is too close for me. This is hitting home too hard.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
It's like, why did
your name? Why did I start with this one? Wow! It's appearing in the pulpit only is a small part of the pastor's responsibility. If the church members lack any visibility into their pastors, in other words, if they don't see you other than just in that Sunday morning pulpit, that's a problem. If you find yourself trying to isolate from your church members,
right,
and you may come up with all kinds of reasons. Let me give you some of mine.
Yeah, give us a few.
I feel drained when I'm around people. I need to recharge. I crave isolation. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The Lord called me to this task, and He called me to be a shepherd, and I can't be a shepherd if I isolate from my sheep.
That's right.
And I know sheep can drive you nuts.
Yep.
They smell, and they're rude, and there are all kinds of problems, and it's easier just not to be with them. But if you only appear in the pulpit, that's a very small part of
Clifton, what would you say, because again, I'm more extroverted, you're more introverted.
Oh, you're totally extroverted.
And so this is not something, I mean, some of these others, I mean, again, I would probably struggle with more. Isolation, I don't struggle with a ton. But what would you say when you think about, and I don't know, maybe in your own life there have been seasons where maybe you became a little too isolated.
Oh, sure. Isolation, listen, isolation, temptation flourishes in isolation.
Yeah. Wow, say that again.
Temptation flourishes in isolation.
Yeah.
Why do you think the prodigal son went to a far-off country? Because he was isolated from those who knew him. You can do all kinds of things when nobody knows who you are.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's
that's
watching.
Right.
So isolation, basically, temptation flourishes in isolation. Isolation is a way we can. Our life ought to be open to total observation by our congregation.
That's right.
And by our elders.
Yep.
It ought to be a blank slate. Man, I've heard so many people tell me, our pastor comes in, he goes to his office, he closes his door, and I don't know what he does in there. And then we don't see him in the afternoon. He's just off and gone. Like, where is he? Like, really? I mean, it's okay to have your own life, but tell your secretary, tell your elders, tell people where you're doing, what you're doing.
Right.
Don't be doing these things in isolation.
There's a time for healthy isolation, time with the Lord. There's times where you want to it's okay to watch a game, and But if your whole ministry and life is marked by isolation as a pastor, that's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag. Your people need to know, Jesus said, I know my sheep and my sheep know me.
To be clear, the writer says, pastors need private time with God and with family and with close friends. And not every member of the church needs to have a close personal friendship with the pastor. And not every member of the church needs to know everything the pastor's doing. However, it must be clear and observable that a pastor is living in a godly, mature manner, not hiding anything, and not having any secret places and secret things that he does.
Yeah.
And if we live in isolation, it's easy to develop those secret habits and those secret things.
Well, and the other problem, too, is even if you're not developing those wrong things, if you're living in isolation, people suspect you might be.
That's very true. That's very true.
What's he doing behind those locked doors in his office? It's like that one lady said, what's he do back? And he actually locks the door sometimes. What's he doing in there? Why does he need the door locked? Or why is he why is he doing that? Or why does he just disappear for a few hours?
We just don't see him. Where did he go?
I mean, that really does. I mean, that almost smacks of the appearance of evil.
Yeah.
And you really have to be careful about that.
Okay, number two. Number two is unaccountable. They are unaccountable. So trustworthy pastors plead for accountability.
How are you accountable at your church, Hallock?
Yeah, well, I would say for us, and again, I know every church is in different places. This is part of the reason I'm such an advocate for a plurality of pastors, a plurality of pastor elders. Because for me, I serve as one of 8 pastor elders. Half of those are on staff, half of those are laymen. But I can't hide anything from these guys. I mean, we're together every Monday night for 3 hours. We serve on Sundays together. Our families hang out together. So for me, that's such a blessing to live in. And that's the thing. Here's what we need to say about accountability. It actually is a blessing from the Lord. Because again, the Puritans would talk about this. Don't be upset that everybody knows what's going on in your life. Be thankful. Be thankful that everybody knows what's going on in your life, because God's going to use that to help you from running down dark alleys you shouldn't be running in. You know what I mean? And so anyway, so I would say elders and pastors, huge accountability.
Okay, here's the deal. Me. Pastor, your wife should have access to every one of your passwords.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
End of story. Your wife has access to every one of your passwords.
Your calendar, everything in your calendar.
Your wife can see anything on your computer, anything on your iPhone. Your wife can see all of that.
Yep.
I mean, end of story. Accountability. You're never alone. Do the Billy Graham rule. You're never alone with a woman for a meal or in a room or in a car that's not your wife or a relative. Period. End of story. I mean, we could go on and on. That's what accountability is.
Yeah.
And if you think you don't need it, you're
already in trouble.
Crazy. You're already in trouble. And then also, like you said, whether it's your now, some of you listening to this podcast, you don't have the wonderful relationship with elders that Mark has, or that I had at Warnell or at Linwood, men that I could fully trust.
Right.
Some of you have some men. Maybe you don't have elders. You don't even have deacons, or you have deacons and elders, but for whatever reason,
it's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
Whatever. Yeah.
And sometimes in a really normative church, a church of less than 40 or 30, it's really hard to be totally transparent with some things in your life, because there's some things you got, but you need to be with somebody.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly.
So maybe it's not a person in your church, a man in your church that you can share, but you need to talk to your associational missionary, your state convention. You need to find some pastor in your community.
Yes, exactly.
Doesn't have to be a Southern Baptist pastor.
Yeah.
It's somebody you can just be fully accountable to and hold that to. I mean, you've got to have somebody. Hopefully it is in your church, but I understand sometimes it can't be. But man, accountability, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It's not a curse. It's a blessing.
That's right.
For sure. First time I ever went on a trip, the second time when I got this job at North American Mission Board this time, about 2013 or whatever, 14. And I went to Chicago to do a conference, and I got there early, and across the street from the conference was a flea market. And so I was walking around looking at the flea market, and I like to collect all kinds of weird things. And there was this really cool-looking ventriloquist dummy. And I mean, he was so...
Only you, Clifton.
He just drew to me. I just had to have him. He was big and had a funny face on it. He just looked so cool. So I bought him, right? So I'm flying Southwest home, And so what am I doing? I'm going to put him up in the overhead or what? And I thought, well, I don't want anybody sitting next to me. So I get in Southwest, and I put him in the seat next to me, and I buckle him up. And I'm telling you, nobody's sitting in that row.
Dude.
Right? So I took a picture of him.
They're calling the cops.
I took a picture of him, and I sent it to Ezell, Kevin, and I go, this is my accountability partner. He goes with me everywhere I go. So you need to get an accountability partner, and he'll go with you everywhere you go. All right, let's move on. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, number 3 is defensive. So the first one, again, is isolated. Number 2 is unaccountable. 3 is defensive, or being defensive. Let me just read this. Continuing this theme, godly pastors will encourage members to give feedback, share concerns, and help them grow in faithfulness. Beware of pastors. This is where we got to beware, if this is in our own hearts, who cannot receive critique or become defensive whenever questions arise. A church where criticism is treated as high treason is not a spiritually safe environment for the pastor or those under his care.
Read that again for everybody in the back.
Okay. A church, the last part of it?
Yes.
Yes. A church where criticism is treated as high treason is not a spiritually safe environment for the pastor or those under his care.
We could name names of some of the most prominent celebrity pastors in evangelical Christianity that was their downfall.
That's exactly right.
That any open criticism was seen as that. And look,
and you were kicked out of the inner circle. It's sick.
And that defensiveness. I mean, I love what Mark, you and I have said many times that Spurgeon reminds us. When someone comes to us and says, Pastor, I got a problem with you, or there's some issue we got to talk about, and you freak out, what is it?
Yep.
The reality is, whatever they're going to accuse you of, you are far worse than that.
Far worse.
Your heart is far darker than anything anybody could ever know.
That's right.
Only the Lord knows how bad you are.
Yep.
Right? And so we come to it with that sense.
When that posture's there of genuine humility.
It needs to be there. Don't be defensive about
dude,
it.
I get it. Yeah, exactly.
Because maybe what they're saying about you isn't correct, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that they don't know that's even worse than the stuff that they think they don't know.
Right.
You're not perfect.
Yeah. No, you're not.
And the answer to all this criticism is thank you that you took time to share that with me. And I want to be the best pastor I can be. This maybe will help me be that pastor. I mean, being defensive. I remember working with Rayner one time, and we were talking about some of this, and he said he'd only been a pastor for a few months at this church in Florida when he went there, and he said this lady, kind of a matriarch at the church, came up to him, and she said, man, you're just the problem here, and the Lord's told me we don't need you as our pastor anymore. And Dr. Rayner said, as a young man, my response was, well, he hadn't told me that, And he said,
that went over well.
Now years later, he says, I realized that was the wrong answer and the wrong attitude. Wow. The right answer would have been, that's really disconcerting. Yep. I want you to, how has he told you that? And I'm going to pray about that too. And we're going to have, in other words, not to be defensive, not just to, bite right back. That's of the flesh.
Yeah.
And so a defensive spirit is not good. An isolated spirit is not good. And a moving away from the sheep and not wanting to be held accountable for our actions, those are all major warning signs that are not good.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to pick up next episode with some other warning signs that are not good. So, man, these are things we need to keep in touch with. So, and by the way, if one of your church members sends you this to listen to, that's a warning sign.
But don't be defensive about it.
Yeah.
Be open to it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in today and for joining us for this podcast. Thanks to the North American Mission Board for making this possible. We appreciate them so much. And they've been so gracious and patient with us. And so have you. So thank you. And we hope to see you next time as we continue looking at some of these things that are warning signs for pastors.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. To learn more about becoming a replanting pastor or to explore resources about revitalization for your own church, visit churchreplanters.com.